You ever have one of those mornings where something feels off, but you can't quite put your finger on it? Mine started with a pair of scissors on the bathroom sink. Now, I know scissors don't usually scream betrayal, but when your wife's been going to the salon every Wednesday afternoon for 6 weeks straight, and you find a pair of haircutting scissors drying on a hand towel, well, the picture starts to form whether you like it or not. Ashley, I called down the hallway, careful not to sound accusatory. Just curious. I had learned early in our marriage that suspicion dressed as kindness got more answers than suspicion dressed as rage. She popped her head around the corner. Yeah, babe. I held them up. You cutting your own hair now? She paused, just long enough to make my stomach shift. Oh, no. I let Marla trim the ends after my appointment yesterday. She's taking cosmetology classes. That would have made sense if Ashley's salon wasn't a 20-minute drive in the other direction, or if she hadn't come home 2 hours late yesterday without a new haircut to show for it. I nodded. Cool. Marla's branching out then. She smiled, that automatic kind, the one people give when they don't know if they've just lied well or not. I didn't press it. I kissed her on the cheek, left for work, and it did what every man in denial does best. Nothing. But that silence? That stillness in my gut? It wasn't peace. It was the calm before the hunt. Wednesday came again like clockwork. Salon day, she chirped, slipping into jeans that hadn't seen daylight in a year and a shirt tight enough to silence questions. I played dumb. That's always the part they never see coming, how quiet a man can get when he's done pretending. You want the car? She asked, tossing me the keys like a peace offering. Nah, I said. I'll work from home today. Think I'll walk down to the cafe later, get some fresh air. She smiled again, but this one didn't reach her eyes. And I watched her drive off. Not toward the salon, but west. Same route for 6 weeks. Same left turn at Ridgewood. So this time, I followed, quiet as regret, smooth as curiosity. I didn't even pull up behind her. I waited a block away. Watched her park. Watched her check her makeup in the mirror. Watched her walk up to a house with an ivy-covered mailbox and a front porch swing that didn't belong to any salon. She rang the bell. A man opened it. Not a stylist. Not Marla. Not even close. She smiled differently for him. And that was when I knew. The scissors weren't for show. They were a prop in the play she thought I hadn't bought tickets for. I didn't call. I didn't text. I didn't scream. I just wrote the address down. Then I drove home. Because some people kick down doors when they're betrayed. Me? I wait. And I write. If you've ever had your heart quietly ripped out, you know the weirdest part isn't the betrayal, it's how normal everything around it stays. The mail still comes. The trash still needs taking out. The neighbor still waves as if your world isn't smoldering beneath your feet. That next week, Ashley was back to being the picture of routine. Hair tied up. Coffee in hand. Kissing me goodbye with a tenderness that used to mean something. Anything fun on your agenda today? She asked, slipping her shoes on. Just emails and invoices. Maybe fix the leaky faucet. She smiled. Well, if you get bored, you can always text me. I might be late tonight. Marla's got this new deep conditioning treatment she swears by. Of course she does. I nodded, gave her a casual wave, and watched her leave. This time, I didn't follow. I didn't need to. I already had the address. Already knew the color of the door. Already saw the way she tilted her head for him. Instead, I opened a drawer in my desk and took out an envelope. Blank. Clean. The kind that holds news heavy enough to change someone's life. Inside it, I slid the slip of paper with the address. The one I'd written in block letters like a detective's last clue. I wasn't going to use it yet. I just wanted to feel it in my hands. Like proof. And every day that passed, I added something else to the envelope. A receipt here. A gas charge there. A selfie she accidentally left open on her tablet, hair tousled, wine in hand. Same swing in the background. Not once did I raise my voice. Not once did I confront her. I wasn't collecting for a fight. I was building an exit. But not the kind you think. You see, some men catch their wives cheating and leave with a duffel bag and dignity. I had something else in mind. Because if she was going to lie in the same dress she wore to our anniversary dinner, then I was going to leave her in silence and let it ring louder than any slap ever could. The turning point came with something so simple, it almost felt like a joke. A receipt. One lonely, crumpled receipt wedged between the seats of her car like it didn't know it was evidence. It was for a Thai place across town. Dinner for two. Time-stamped exactly 6:12 p.m. last Wednesday. The same night she came home saying Marla overprocessed her hair and they had to fix the damage. I sat in the driveway that night, turning that piece of paper in my fingers like it held a confession. And in a way, it did. Next day, I decided to visit her salon. The name was Luna Luxe, fancy, expensive, and filled with people whose hair looked like it cost more than my truck. I walked in, played polite. "Hey," I said to the receptionist, "I'm trying to book something for my wife. She's been raving about you guys." "Ashley Lambert." The woman behind the desk blinked, confused. She tapped on her keyboard. "Sorry, what was the last name again?" "Lambert." "Ashley. She's been coming in Wednesday afternoons?" She frowned. "I'm sorry, I don't have anyone by that name in our records. Are you sure this is the right location?" "Oh, I'm sure," I said, nodding slowly. She even mentioned the coconut scalp wrap. The receptionist gave me a polite laugh. "That's only offered at our downtown location, and we haven't had anyone by that name there either." "Right." So Ashley's weekly appointments weren't appointments at all. They were rendezvous. And the salon? Just a cover. A detail meant to keep the story airtight. Except it wasn't. I walked out without saying another word. Drove straight to the address. Parked across the street. This time, I didn't just take note of the porch swing or the color of the mailbox. I saw him. Tall. Khakis and a button-down. Mid-40s. The kind of guy who looked like he coached t-ball on weekends and gave advice no one asked for at work meetings. He came out holding a takeout bag and waved at Ashley like they were already married. She opened the door in slippers. He kissed her on the cheek. And I sat there in my car, watching it all like a scene in a bad movie I didn't audition for. I didn't honk. I didn't call. I just took out my phone, opened the camera, and clicked the shutter once. Then I drove home. When she came back that night, smiling like nothing had happened, I handed her my spare house key, my ring, and one single thing. The envelope. She looked down at it, confused. "What's this?" "The address," I said calmly. "To the place you keep pretending is a salon." Her face fell. Not in shock. In resignation. She didn't even deny it. She just whispered, "Logan." But I wasn't listening anymore. I turned around, walked to the bedroom, and started packing. People think betrayal explodes. That it crashes through your life like a wrecking ball, spraying chaos in every direction. But the truth is it settles. Like dust. Quiet. It creeps into corners. Coats everything. The morning after I handed Ashley the envelope, the house felt off. She didn't sleep in our bed. I didn't ask where she slept. Maybe the couch. Maybe the porch swing. Maybe she snuck off to the address I'd written in black ink. Didn't matter. She wasn't my problem anymore. I poured myself a cup of coffee in silence. She walked into the kitchen barefoot, like it was any other Thursday. "Morning," she said softly, like the right tone could undo everything. I didn't respond. She hesitated, then opened the fridge, pulled out almond milk, her brand, not mine, and closed the door like she hadn't just detonated the foundation of our marriage. "I didn't mean for it to get that far," she offered, eyes low. Still, I said nothing. Just stirred my coffee with the tiny spoon that matched the rest of our untouched wedding flatware set. "You were distant," she said, "and I was lonely." There it was. The cliché. The dusty defense of every spouse who took a detour into someone else's bed. I was lonely. I could have laughed, but it wouldn't have been funny. It would have sounded bitter. Like the man she probably thinks I became long before she cheated. "So you found someone who made you feel seen," I finally said. She looked up. "And I guess I just looked like furniture after a while?" Ashley opened her mouth but closed it again. There was nothing she could say that wouldn't make it worse. And that was the first honest moment between us in a year. I turned my back and rinsed out my mug. "You don't have to move out today," she said quietly. I turned to face her. "Oh, I'm not." She blinked. "You are." "What?" "I'll be at work until 5. By then, I want you gone." Her voice cracked. "Logan." "You can go to him," I said. "You already know the way." There was something about saying it that made the whole thing feel colder. Like I was reading a weather report. Heavy betrayal expected, light showers of remorse in the evening. She took a small step toward me. Can we talk before we burn it all down?" I nodded. "We just did." She didn't cry. That would have required guilt. Instead, she nodded, turned, and walked back upstairs. I listened to the creak of the steps, the quiet shuffle of drawers. That sound used to mean she was getting ready for work. Now it meant she was packing up her chapter in my life. I didn't feel vindicated. I didn't feel strong. I felt free. And that was new. By the time I came home that evening, her car was gone. The ring was on the counter, next to the spare key. One last mirror of my gesture. I didn't touch it. Just slid it into the drawer next to the grocery coupons, and that one pen that's always out of ink. The house was clean. Too clean. Like she'd scrubbed away the evidence of herself. But I noticed she left the wine opener. And that told me more than any goodbye letter ever could. She planned on coming back eventually. I poured myself a glass of whiskey instead. Not to drink away the pain. That ship had sailed. I was toasting the ghost of a marriage. To the woman I thought I loved, and the man I refused to become. I slept like a rock that night. First time in months. No twisting next to an unfamiliar warmth. No late-night creaks from the bathroom. Just silence. Glorious, unburdened silence. The next morning, I walked through the house and took inventory. Not of what she took, but of what she didn't. The framed photo of us at Lake Crescent, still on the shelf. The one where she's kissing my cheek, and I'm holding her like she's the answer to a question I never asked. Her scarf still hung on the coat rack, and one drawer in her vanity remained closed but heavy. I opened it. Inside, a letter. No envelope. Just folded once. If you're reading this, then I'm already gone. I don't expect forgiveness. I know I broke something sacred. I've just been feeling invisible for so long. And he noticed me. I'm not defending what I did, Logan. I just want you to understand that it wasn't about you not being enough. It was about me not knowing what I wanted anymore. You're a good man. Better than I deserved. And that's not just a cliche. I stayed longer than I should have. Not because I was in love, but because I was afraid of who I'd be without you. I'm sorry. I really am. Hey. I folded the letter, placed it back in the drawer, and closed it without a word. She was right about one thing. She stayed too long. But the thing she didn't get? I had been invisible too. Only I never needed someone else to notice me to remember who I was. Now, the world was open again. Wide and empty in mine. And the best part? She thought that was the end of it. She had no idea what I had planned. It had been 3 days since Ashley left. 3 days of silence. 3 days of walking past a half-empty closet and an unused coffee mug. 3 days of learning to breathe without bitterness. But more importantly, 3 days of planning. See, the thing about heartbreak is that it doesn't just break you. It sharpens you. Strips you down to your essentials. All the noise. Gone. All the second-guessing. Dead on arrival. You start thinking clearer, cleaner. Like a man who finally realizes he's been fighting in the wrong war with the wrong weapon. I wasn't looking to hurt her. I was looking to end her story in mine. And that brings us back to the envelope. I hadn't thrown it away. No, I had upgraded it. The original paper, the address of her little secret hideaway, was still folded neatly inside. But now it had company. A flash drive with timestamps, photos, and one video of her getting out of his car with the kind of smile that used to belong to me. I didn't take it from a bush. I wasn't hiding in the trees like some cliché. I got it from a security camera across the street, the kind of mundane, blinking red dot no one pays attention to. Turns out, the owner of the house across from Loverboy's bungalow was a retired cop. All it took was a friendly conversation and a six-pack of his favorite lager for him to agree to pull the footage. People underestimate old men in lawn chairs. But those guys, they missed nothing. There she was, every Wednesday, stepping out of my car. Yes, my car, with a gym bag and a lie on her lips. Same house, same porch, same man. Like clockwork. I didn't need a confrontation. I needed closure. But I wasn't going to hand it to her directly. Oh no, that would have made it too easy. Saturday came. I knew where she was. She'd been posting soft, vague stories, cropped wine glasses, new nails, moody playlists. Nothing obvious, nothing tagged. But the location data always tells a story if you know where to look. She was still seeing him. Still playing house in a home that wasn't hers to begin with. And that's when I made my move. I took the envelope, the ring she returned, and a folded copy of our wedding photo, snapped in front of the lake, back when her eyes still held a spark for me, and placed them all into a clean manila folder. No threats, no words, just evidence. Then I drove to the address. Not to knock, not to yell, just to deliver. The house was quiet when I pulled up. Cozy, overconfident. The porch swing moved slightly in the breeze, like it had its own smug rhythm. The same swing she once called storybook. I walked up, set the folder neatly against the door, and knocked once. Then turned and walked away. No confrontation. No closure. Just proof. Let them open it together. Let them sort out what their little fantasy looks like under harsh fluorescent light. That night, I got a message. Blocked number. But I knew it was her. You didn't have to do that. I didn't reply. Another message followed. You embarrassed me. And there it was again, that line, that toxic little string of syllables she always defaulted to when she got caught in something. You embarrassed me. Not I'm sorry. Not I hurt you. Just a gentle reminder that in her world, image is everything. Pain is secondary. I turned off my phone and poured a drink. This time I smiled when I sipped it. Because now he knew. Now he understood that the woman he welcomed into his bed had left behind more than just a husband. She left behind a man who wasn't going to drown quietly. Sunday morning, the sun came up like any other. Except this time, I wasn't in bed alone. No, not with someone new. With clarity. See, revenge isn't always a grand gesture. Sometimes, it's a quiet truth mailed to the wrong address. Sometimes, it's letting someone sit across the breakfast table with a 1,000-yard stare and a growing realization that maybe, just maybe, the love they stole wasn't worth the wreckage. I didn't care what they said to each other. Didn't care if they fought or made up or cried into each other's arms. All I cared about was the silence that followed. That delicious, still silence when two liars realized they've both been caught in the same net. And I was already out of the water. That afternoon, I changed the locks. She hadn't asked to come back, not yet, but I knew the day would come. The text, the call, the can we talk? And when it did, I wanted to greet her with the satisfying click of a deadbolt. Let her knock until her knuckles turned red. This house? No longer hers to enter. This life? No longer hers to haunt. Let her build something new with the man she once lied to me about. Let her feel seen by someone who now knows the full story. As for me, I was done watching from the sidelines. I wasn't a victim. I was the narrator. And I just closed the chapter with a full stop. They say when you shut a door, a window opens. They don't tell you that sometimes it's the same window someone tries to crawl back through. It was a Wednesday, ironic, I know, when she came back. I had just finished mowing the lawn. Sweat clung to my back, grass stuck to my shoes, and my mind was blissfully blank for the first time in weeks. I was rinsing my hands off at the sink when I saw the shadow move across the porch. Then came the knock. Not on the front door, no. She didn't even try that. It was the glass. The sliding door at the back of the house. The one that opens into the kitchen. The one she used to sneak through when she wanted to surprise me with grocery store wine and take-out sushi. I turned slowly. She stood there, outside, arms crossed, eyes puffy like she'd finally spent a night in real tears. For a moment, she didn't look like the woman who betrayed me. She just looked tired. I opened the door, not to invite her in. Just enough to hear her out. Logan, she said softly. Please. She waited for the welcome. The grace. The softness I used to hand her without asking. It didn't come. What do you want, Ashley? She blinked at the coldness of her own name. Funny how powerful a first name becomes when love is no longer stapled to it. I don't know how to start. Try with the truth. You're behind on that. She looked down, chewing the inside of her cheek. He kicked me out. I didn't flinch. Did he? She nodded. He said the envelope ruined everything. That I humiliated him. That I lied to him too. And did you? Of course I did, she snapped, then softened. I lied to everyone. Not everyone, I wanted to say. You were honest with yourself. That's why it lasted so long. But I stayed quiet. She took a breath. I didn't come here for pity. I came here because I don't know what else to do. You can start by walking away. Her voice cracked. Logan, please. I don't have anywhere else to go. You had somewhere every Wednesday. She flinched. That one landed. I made a mistake. No, I corrected. You made a decision. Repeatedly. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. What you did was a pattern. She looked away, the way people do when they realize they're not the victim in the story anymore. I stepped back and closed the door. Didn't slam it. Just locked it. Gently. Through the glass, she placed her hand on the pane, her eyes pleading. But pleading for what? Forgiveness? Shelter? Nostalgia? I turned around and went back to the sink. Let her see what it looked like when a man finally washed his hands of it. That night, she called. Left a voicemail. I didn't listen to it. Then she emailed. Subject, please read. The body was one long apology. The kind that uses the word lost 13 times and the word sorry only once. I archived it. Then came the texts. I miss our mornings. No one ever made me feel safe like you did. I don't know who I am without you. Oh, there it was. The confession beneath the confessions. She didn't come back because she loved me. She came back because she loved who she was when she was with me. And that's not love. That's a mirror. And I'm not a mirror anymore. By Friday, I got a call from her sister. Claire always liked me. Said I was the normal one in the family. She asked if I'd meet Ashley for coffee. She's not doing well, Claire said. She's unraveling. She didn't seem too unraveled when she was unraveling my life. I replied. Claire sighed. She's still your wife? No, I said calmly. She's my history. Claire didn't call again. Saturday came, and with it, an envelope of my own, delivered by hand. Inside it, divorce papers. She'd filed. I smiled at the irony. She left, lied, cheated, tried to come back. And when that door didn't open, she was the one who finally ended it. Cowardice wrapped in paperwork. I signed them without blinking. Used my favorite pen. Slid the documents back into the same envelope and wrote a note on the flap. You wanted new. You got it. Don't knock again. That night, I slept easy. No dreams. No memories clawing their way back in. Just silence. Just peace. It wasn't revenge. Not yet. That was still coming. But this was closure with a signature. A week passed. Then came the knock. It wasn't Ashley this time. It was him. The man from the house with the ivy-covered mailbox. He stood on my porch in a blue windbreaker and loafers without socks, trying real hard to look casual, like this wasn't humiliating for both of us. I opened the door, didn't invite him in. He cleared his throat. I just want to talk. I leaned on the doorframe. I'm listening. He looked down at his shoes like they were going to coach him through it. She told me a version of things. But that envelope, your envelope, painted a different picture. I crossed my arms. You expecting a thank you for showing up now that your fantasy fell apart? He shook his head. No, I needed to look the guy in the eye. The guy who was man enough to walk away when I thought I was the one winning. I didn't say anything. He shifted, uncomfortable. She said you didn't fight for her. That's the thing, I replied. You don't fight for someone who surrendered first. He nodded slowly. I get that now. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a key. I think this is yours, he said, holding it out. She left it at my place. Figured you'd want to toss it yourself. I looked at the key, the spare to my house, the one I had given her in a moment that, back then, felt like trust. Now it looked like rusted metal. Dead weight. I took it, said nothing, and shut the door. He didn't knock again, and I never saw him after that. A month later, I found myself driving by the salon, the house, her house of lies, and I don't know what I expected. Maybe a new car in the driveway. Maybe her silhouette in the window, pretending things were normal. What I saw was a for rent sign. Gone. Just like that. I pulled over and stared at it. Not because I missed her, but because I wanted to see the stage after the show ended. And it was empty. Stripped down. No porch swing. No ivy. Just a hollow shell of all the fake appointments and real betrayal. She wasn't with him. And she wasn't with me. For a woman who wanted to be seen, she sure made herself invisible. I drove away, didn't look back. She'd burned her life at both ends, and now the fire had nothing left to chew on. One evening, I checked my old email account, the one I used before we shared a joint inbox for bills and vacation ideas. There it was. A message, timestamped 2 weeks ago. Subject line, if I could go back. I clicked it. I know you probably won't read this. Or maybe you'll read it and roll your eyes. But I need to write it, even if you never write back. You were the best thing I ever had. And I know I traded gold for glass. I thought you were boring. But you were stable. I thought you didn't feel things deeply. But you were just trying not to drown me in your pain. I thought the affair made me feel alive. But all it did was wake me up to what I destroyed. I miss your quiet. Your steadiness. Your unshakable dignity. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want you to know. I see it now. I see you. There was no reply button. I'd blocked her months ago, so it just sat there. Unread. I archived it. And smiled. You want to know how it ended? Not with a bang. Not with a slap. Not with screaming in a parking lot or shattered glass. My revenge was simple. I let her live with it. She thought the worst thing I could do was expose her. Scream at her. Embarrass her in front of family or drag her through court. No. The worst thing I did? I didn't save her. I didn't chase her. I didn't give her a villain. I just gave her space and silence. And in that silence, she met herself. I moved on. Took up hiking. Got promoted at work. Started talking to someone new slowly, carefully. Someone who asks questions, listens, and laughs at my dry jokes like they're rare collectibles. We're not rushing. We don't use words like forever, yet. But there's peace. There's honesty. There's trust that doesn't need proof. And Ashley? She gets to sit with the fact that I didn't fight for her. Because I didn't need to. She lost me. That was the consequence. And it was enough.